Coming to you live from the palatial studios of PBJ Productions. Welcome to Patrick and BJ Talk Real Estate, where we talk about life, the universe, and everything as it relates to real estate. Hey everybody, it's BJ
and Patrick,
and we're back talking all things real estate. And today we have an article that I was looking at, a report in the CBC, and we want to talk about it today. We think there's some. It's good to just hear what's being said out there, and I think it's good to get a perspective on it that's maybe not so doom and gloom. There's some balance to what we're saying and seeing. And interesting. We were just even talking about how the statistic about
like how many buyers are on the sidelines?
The one where you had mentioned somebody was talking about what was it for now?
Was the Global did a poll for how many?
No, this was somebody specifically asked you about, or they said like, where are you getting your numbers from, or something like that. And we have, right? We have the stats and everything to show where our numbers are coming from.
It was mortgage delinquencies,
and we have the studies to prove it and the numbers from CMHC.
Yeah, and I'm not like, this is what I learned in school. Like, I went to media. I did media studies in school for television broadcasting. So one of the courses was like, where are you getting your source of information from? Yeah. Right? And it has to be from the horse's mouth, the source. Not a report. This is kind of silly because we're giving a second opinion on what another news report says, right? But it's not. Knowing this is secondhand information, and I would give an allowance to what's being reported on the news. They are under time restraints.
Sure.
They can't report everything they sort of like hit the top surface information.
Yeah.
They want your attention, and they want to sell ads on their news station to keep the show running, right? Mm-hmm. So they don't get an opportunity unless it's like an hour-long segment to really dive into a topic. So that's yes. Yeah. Data. Okay. Mortgage delinquencies.
Yeah. So that's a different topic.
We've talked about it.
Yeah. And we have this again, like we said, there's the information, the statistical information, and we're not guessing.
Yeah.
On those numbers.
Let's see what CBC has to say about this.
Yeah. So the headline reads, home sales and prices edging up as housing markets could get interesting.
Okay, that's the headline.
That's the headline.
Awesome.
Okay. Now, one of the things, we're not going to talk about this part today specifically, but it's interesting. Royal LePage, they have a byline in here that states they're expecting home prices in Greater Toronto to pass Greater Vancouver this year. So, okay.
Potato,
sure.
Vancouver or Toronto, one's the most expensive. Okay, fine.
They're kind of neck and neck at this stage anyway, right? So
yeah, okay.
Okay, so let me read this. The housing market could soon get interesting, economists say, as home prices and sales start to edge up, according to a pair of new reports released. In its latest quarterly home price update and market forecast, Royal LePage is forecasting that the aggregate price of a home in Canada will increase 9% in the fourth quarter of 2024.
Okay.
At the same time, the Canadian Real Estate Board said home sales activity recorded over its listings data edged up 0.5% between February and March, and they're still below the average of the last 10 years. But the point is everything's starting to move up, albeit slowly.
Right, considering like last year was like probably a record low historically in a long time.
Yeah.
So us to improve slightly.
Yeah.
That's not a.
Yeah. So
I don't need a crystal ball for that.
Yeah. CREA added that weekly tracking showed a bounce in new supply. That's their term specifically, a bounce in new supply around the second week of March, leading to a burst of sales and a jump in listings in the first week of April.
But I thought we were in a housing shortage. Anyways, I'll stop before I go down that road.
Yeah. So this is obviously. I'm sure they're getting these numbers based on Toronto, Vancouver.
Even if they're taken from CREA stats, like overall
sure. And it's CREA. Yeah, it's CREA stats. So
Yeah, and the biggest population is BC, Ontario, anyways.
Yeah.
So like, where are a lot of the listings going to be? Yeah, well, the GTA and Greater Vancouver area, like, of course, it's going to have like a huge amount of the volume.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We'll have to wait for the April data to see, to really understand how buyers are responding to all these new properties for sale. But if you look at last spring as a guide and add to that record population growth in the last year and a central bank that is far more likely to cut this summer than raise like it did last year, it could get interesting, said Korea's senior economist. Will the story be high interest rates keeping a lot of people on the sidelines this year, or the much expected and anticipated first rate cuts enticing a lot of people back into the market? Probably a bit of both. That's Korea's statement.
Yeah, that's a probably very neutral statement.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think that's fair to say. There's when I was doing the research for this, I also saw a report by BMO that said there's about a 70%, let's say 70% of buyers,
Give or take. Yeah.
give or take, that are not in the market right now, but are prepared to buy, that are waiting for the interest rate reduction.
Yeah. And if you've been watching our videos, I've said this before, anytime there's been a policy change, we added the stress test, we added minimum payments, a minimum down payment, like whatever the case may be, now it's interest rates. People will sit on the sidelines for only so long before like moving on with their life. Mm-hmm. Maybe they change their expectations. Maybe they can't buy a place as nice or be in the neighborhood. They sort of go to a plan B.
Yeah.
But when people have decided, let's say this 70%, we're going to wait to see what happens. At some point, they're tired of waiting, mm-hmm. and they will make a decision. They will go on to plan B. This happens all the time, right? So it's interesting that this is acknowledged, and maybe this chief economist is looking at, well, there is going to be a delay in the people making a decision, and maybe that's why the fourth quarter, if the interest rates stay the same,
yeah,
or if there's any change, like I'm thinking, the more I hear about like, oh, interest rates are going to go down, going to go down, going to go down. You know what? What if they go up?
Or what if they stay flat?
Or what if they stay flat? Like,
because the thing
people will only wait for so long.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing for the Bank of Canada that they've said from the beginning is interest rates and where they stand on interest rates has to do with inflation.
Yeah.
And trying to control inflation.
Yeah, this is one of the levers that they use. Yeah.
So they're still looking at that. And really what they're trying to do is figure out, how do we do this without completely grinding the economy to a halt, but still trying to get inflation down.
I'm glad that's not my job.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially after the rampant spending that's been going on.
Printing.
Yeah.
Right? Devaluing our money.
Right. So, okay, we had originally expected, or we had expected at the start of this year, that we were going to see interest rate drops by the third and fourth quarter of this year. That would be great.
Yeah.
Okay. But we don't know that for sure. Now there's talk about maybe it won't happen, maybe it will happen. There's all this conjecture, and we have an election coming up at some point, et cetera, so on. And even though the Bank of Canada is supposed to be a separate entity and not run by the government in any way.
Right.
Right. So what does that mean? I think the thing I want to talk about in that is, and we've said from the start, is if it makes sense for you right now to buy, this is still a good time to get in the market, because prices are not going to stay this low once interest rates start to go down.
Right. So you want to either pick higher prices, lower interest rates, or the interest rates that we have today and are like, we've come off the peak of the prices of 2021, 2022.
Yeah.
So like, do you want these prices at this interest rate, or do you want to wait later?
Yeah.
So like a higher price means like higher down payment. If you have less than 20%, then the mortgage insurance cost is a little bit higher.
Yeah.
The property transfer tax is a little bit higher. Like
The stress test.
the stress test is more difficult if the price is higher.
Yeah.
So right now, even with the current interest rate, it might actually be easier to purchase now,
Right.
than having lower interest rates and higher prices later. So, but you need to make that decision on your for yourself.
100%.
When is the best time when you're ready to buy a home?
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
it.
Yeah.
So, and if now's not the case, then that's fine. Have a plan. This is the biggest thing. Like, if you don't have a plan and just complain about prices, then it's never going to happen. And we talked about mindset before.
Yeah.
Right? So, what do we have? We have, I know the 2023 numbers. First time home buyers, this is a Bank of Canada data. 46% of 2003 home sales were first time home buyers. That's not 46% of all sales.
Yeah.
This is 46% of mortgages written to people who have never had a mortgage before in Canada.
Okay.
So it is happening anyways. Like if you have a desire to buy a home, like get with the right people, get the right advice. If it's a mortgage broker, realtor, those kind of things, and make a plan.
Make a plan. 100%.
Make a plan, and maybe plan A doesn't work. Maybe it has to be a plan B or a plan C.
Yeah.
But you can make it happen. That's my encouragement.
Yeah. And that's it for this one. I know it's kind of probably one of our shorter ones nowadays. We tend to probably go a little bit longer and stuff. But
yeah, sometimes.
But thank you for joining us. If you haven't, please take a minute, subscribe to the channel. We are putting out regular content. You want to make sure that you stay up to date on everything we're talking about and things that we're seeing in the media that we talk about. And sometimes we talk about, Victoria. We're heading into spring and summer, so we're going to get back out in the neighborhood, in the communities, doing some vlogging and things like that.
That'll be lots of fun, yeah. And if you're thinking about buying or selling in the greater Victoria area, Southern Vancouver Island, we can help you with that. Or even if you just have a question, you're not quite ready yet, feel free to reach out to us. Our description is in the contact information below. Our contact information is in the description below. And we look forward to hearing from you. And thank you for everybody who has reached out. It's been really cool. And we look forward to helping you. Thank you. And we'll see you in the next video.
See ya.